Hi, my name is Mary Cook, and I'm here today to talk to you about completing your Title I personnel schedules. During our time together today, we will talk about the goals and objectives related to completing Title I personnel schedules. We'll look at the guidance for completing schedules, and we'll talk about the different templates used for intervention teachers, instructional paraprofessionals, instructional intervention coaches, as well as class size reduction teachers. In addition, you may have additional personnel such as a family liaison paraprofessional or a behavior intervention para, a Title I funded assistant principal, or additional instructional coaches. And we can also talk about which schedule templates you would use for those personnel. The reason we have Title I personnel schedules is to make sure that we are using all of our available time to maximize the interventions available for our Title I eligible students. When thinking about Title I schedules, we have three main goals. The first is to adhere to the Title I guidance. Title I schedules should be aligned to status forms and the instructional support plan. There are guidelines that we need to follow when planning for duty schedules, planning times, and breaks. All Title I funded personnel should have a Title I schedule, and these should be aligned to the service and assessment records related to your Title I intervention programs. Schedules need to be uploaded into Title I Crate into File 3.2, and as schedules change or status forms change, we need to update these documents and make sure that the most up-to-date document has been added into Title I Crate. There are some resources available to you, and one of them is starting to play now. Let me pause that. I'll go ahead and talk about that resource first. You may choose to re-watch the August 25th lead teacher video. During that meeting, Jennifer Steptoe went into great detail about Title I schedules, so that's a resource here for you. In addition, the templates and sample schedules have been uploaded for you in Title I Crate. And of course, you can reach out to your Title I specialist or anyone in the Title I department to assist you. As a reminder, as we get started, anyone paid with Title I funds needs a Title I schedule. Let's go ahead and take a look at the template for an intervention teacher. As I'm talking, you'll notice that there are red arrows as well as red circles, and this is to draw your attention to the different points I'll be talking about related to the intervention teacher schedule. In addition, I have 3 bullets listed here for you just to help remind you when you're completing the intervention teacher schedule of some of the guidance from Title I. The first thing that you'll notice is that the schedule should reflect the entire contract day. So if we look here, we can tell that this intervention teacher begins their contract time at 7:15 and ends their contractual day at 2:45 for a total of 7 hours and 30 minutes. This same information is reflected over here on the right side for their workday. Contract hours may be different depending on your location. For example, if you're at an extended hours school, then your contractual time and your schedule would be for 8 hours and 30 minutes. When we think about planning during an intervention teacher's schedule, time during the student contact day should not exceed 180 minutes for the week. So you'll see here one of the examples of planning. So this is any time that an intervention teacher is not working directly with a student. You would enter planning for that time, and then you'll want to ensure that it doesn't exceed 180 minutes for the week. A break is not an allowable description for a teacher's schedule. In addition, there should not be any transition time between classes and groups. So if we look at the example here, we notice that this teacher pushes into an ELA class from 8 to 8:30, and the very next group starts from 8:30 to 9, and so on, 9 to 9:30, 9:30 to 10. There isn't a break in time shown on the schedule. For the intervention groups, you want to make sure that you indicate the subject area of focus. So we can see here that this teacher is working with students on the subject of ELA. We also want to make sure we notate whether it is a push-in or a pull-out group. And then in the right-hand column, you'll indicate the grade level and the number of students that that intervention teacher is working with in that particular group. You do have the ability to wrap text within this spreadsheet. Please do not add any rows, however, because that will mess up the formulas that are set up to calculate this information here. So again, planning is not to exceed 180 minutes. And if you're talking about duty time, it's referring to time before and after student contact time. So for example, this intervention teacher is assisting with dismissal duty during this 30-minute time block on their schedule. And on Wednesday for early release, this amount of time is typically referred to as professional development or grade level meetings on the schedule for Wednesday. Now, if you are an instructional intervention coach, you would use the teacher template. But there are a few things that will be different. IIC, 100% IIC, but other times they are also IIC as well as intervention teacher. And if that occurs, then you would indicate that on the schedule. Please remember, though, that 30 to 50% of your IIC time is to be used for coaching and supporting UFly. And you can check with your administration for specific details related to that. So IICs who also teach intervention groups for a portion of the regular school day will notate their intervention group information in their schedule in the same manner described for intervention teachers. Any additional instructional coaches that you have that are paid with Title I funding, as well as an assistant principal paid for with Title I funding, their schedule should also be on the teacher template. One more instructional personnel that would use a teacher template would be the class size reduction teacher. And what would be different in this situation would be that for planning, time during the student contact day should not exceed 180 minutes for the week, which is the same as an intervention teacher. But the planning period for the class size reduction teacher would align with the class's daily special time. Now let's take a look at the paraprofessional template. The schedule should reflect the entire contract day for the para. Contract hours may be different depending on the location and the amount of hours paid per day. So for example, in this sample, we can see that this paraprofessional works a 6-hour day, beginning at 7:45 and ending at 2:15. We also can see that that same information is reflected here. They do have lunch from 11 to 11:30, and this time is subtracted before the total is reflected at the bottom. For the paraprofessional schedules, please take a look at the employee working conditions because this will help you to determine any breaks or lunch times that the para needs in the schedule. For paraprofessionals, materials prep is not to exceed 75 minutes per week. And it is the responsibility of the supervising teacher to plan the activities for the paraprofessional. However, paras are allowed to have a reasonable amount of materials prep in order to facilitate their intervention groups. As I mentioned, it should not exceed 75 minutes per week, And we want to make sure that we're using the phrase materials prep in that cell on our spreadsheet. And you can see an example right here. And as a matter of fact, this instructional para has materials prep for the first 15 minutes, exceed 180 minutes per week. And duty for an instructional paraprofessional may include before school, lunch duty, as well as dismissal duty. So again, to recap, for the intervention teacher template to be used, the Title I personnel would be an instructional intervention coach, a class size reduction teacher, any additional instructional coaches, or a Title I funded assistant principal. The paraprofessional template would be used for the behavior intervention para and a family liaison para. There will be additional documentation required for those two paraprofessionals, and another video will be released explaining all of the paperwork that those two individuals need to complete. We do have a guidance document that's available for you, and schedules look different at every school. So the guidance document is great to have out in front of you when you're working on your Title I schedules, because it goes into a lot of detail for each of the options. Please reach out to your Title I specialist. As always, we're here to help you with whatever you need.